It is a great day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the tournament a lot of people have been waiting for. And I would say if you are new on Underdog, this is the main one you want to be looking at. The Pomeranian 2 here is a $3 buy-in, $200,000 prize pool. But what makes this really cool is obviously Underdog has to make some money. I mean, they give you a 100% deposit match when you sign up. They clearly sponsor the channel, so they make money by charging a rake in the majority of these tournaments. So if you look at like the slow puppy, right? It's a $5 buy-in, $500,000 prize pool, and Underdog takes about a 10% rake. So Underdog takes about 10% from the overall league pot. But if you look at the Pomeranian 2, Underdog takes a 0% rake. Underdog takes, it's incredible. It's a $3 buy-in, $200,000 prize pool, 66,000 entrants. First place, 30,000. Second place, 15,000. Third place, 10,000. And yes, this just dropped this morning, so we got to get into some drafts as soon as we possibly can. Let's go ahead. Let's hop in here. We got 7 spots open in this draft if anybody wants to come party with us. But thank you so much for everybody coming out. We got Sam, Riley, Travis, Ryan, Kay, Sam, Ashton. Thank you all so much for coming to hang out with us, ladies and gentlemen. And we are at pick 12. Now, if you are new to the live stream, you probably don't know, but the only picks, for whatever reason, that I get on the live stream are picks 1, 2, and 12. There's nothing in between. I don't even know what pick 6 is. I don't know what pick 4 is. I don't know what pick 5 is. Maybe you peasants have to go through and select there, but for whatever reason, I'm only either at the very beginning of round 1 or the very end of round 1. But David in here at pick 5. We got GBD12 out here at pick 1 as well. Love to see it. Ross Cred in here with us at pick 11. And Chris says the $1,000 draft was pick 5. Yes, and the $1,000 draft we did on Underdog, we were pick 5. And obviously I'm joking about never getting those picks, but it has been really weird over the past week. I'm literally like only at pick 1 or pick 12. But yeah, thank you again so much for everybody coming out. If you're just now coming out here, make sure you drop a like on this live stream. If you're watching this as a video later on, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And of course, if you want to get in one of these Underdog drafts with us, or if you want to go check out any of the player props that you see on the videos, my favorite player prop is going to be Jamar Chase versus Davante Adams. You get 25 extra receiving yards on the Jamar Chase side. You can find the link to Underdog Fantasy in the live chat, in the description, in the comment section. And if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you'll get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. That's how I drafted 700 teams and won $150,000 on Underdog last year. And this is where Underdog is available on this map. But we have Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown off the board at picks 7 and 8. Let's swing this back around and see if we're going to be able to have a unique start at 12. CeeDee Lamb off the board. Bijan Robinson goes as well. You don't love to see it. At least I don't love to see it. But we'll go ahead. We'll take Garrett Wilson and Davante Adams here. Like going back to what we're looking at with those player props, I mean, hell, if Underdog has Davante Adams for fewer receiving yards than Jamar Chase this next year, while I 100% agree with you that I think Davante Adams has red flags, and no, of course, I would not draft Davante Adams over Jamar Chase. I am comfortable taking Davante Adams like the wide receiver 9 in a draft here, but would have been excited to take Bijan Robinson and pick 11. Yes, our best friend off the board. Sadly, we're not able to go get our guy, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, Jay and out here, happy to see you. Now we have Amon-Ra St. Brown off the board immediately after our 14. So in the majority of these drafts, you will see Amon-Ra St. Brown get drafted before Davante Adams. In the vast majority of these leagues, you have Amon-Ra St. Brown going before Adams. Henry says, the same 11 guys go in some order, 1 through 11, pretty much every draft. That's why I picked 12 sucks. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of pick 12. I know we've had a lot of other people in the live stream saying that they like pick 12. Personally, I don't. Like, of course, I'd rather be at 1. I'd rather be at 2. Y'all know I love those picks and we get them a lot, but It is what it is. And the tier break between 11 and 12 is huge on Underdog. Not going to disagree with you with that, my friend. Not going to disagree. Now you have Mahomes going off the board at 19. It's going to be a super, super popular stack, right? Everybody going for the Kelsey Mahomes pairing in the first and second round. And this is the first year, I think over the past 2 to 3 seasons, that has not been a stack I'm targeting. It's also the most expensive it's ever been. On top of it, Travis Kelce is older than he's ever been. So in my mind, I don't know. I have a hard time taking Kelce Mahomes rounds 1 and 2, even if they've made us a boatload of money in years past. Y'all know Mahomes was my most drafted quarterback last year, partly how we were such a big winner on Underdog, but hell, back then he was going round 4, round 5. So a lot harder to make him your most drafted quarterback this season. Jalen Hurts going off the board at pick 25. It's going to be a team that has Jefferson, T. Higgins, then Jalen Hurts. Okay. Ramondre goes 26. What's surprising is you really haven't seen Ramondre fall, even with the rumors of like Leonard Fournette going over to New England or Dalvin Cook going over to New England. Seems like people are still just completely fine going ahead and pulling the trigger on Ramondre Stevenson there. Yeah, Breece Hall pick 27. Josh Allen off the board as well. Okay. Vendor asking if we would take Lamb or Diggs in an ESPN format. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Stephon Diggs over CeeDee Lamb regardless of the format. Diggs has seen 3 straight seasons now as a top 10 wide receiver in fantasy. I think if you're looking at the floor-ceiling combo of Stephon Diggs, very few players have a higher floor than Diggs, at least based off what we've seen historically. Like for 3 straight seasons now, every single year, the man's had over 100 air yards per game. But Jacobs goes, obviously what we would love to do is we would love to get Andrews Lamar Jackson at the 3-4 turn. I think that would be the way that this team is very exciting. That would be the way that we're really jumping up and down with this. But Andrews goes, I mean, very rarely are you ever going to see Andrews make it this far. So, I mean, we can't be sitting here and crying about Mark Andrews going, of course. Now, Gibbs off the board. I'm going to take Deebo Samuel. Then to have a little bit more of a unique combo here, I'm going to reach on Travis Etienne. You're going to see more so a lot of Deebo Samuel, Najee Harris picks at the turn. And that's going to be a more common start. So I think if we go Garrett Wilson, Avante Adams, Deebo Samuel, Travis Etienne, it's not necessarily a super unique build, right? Like there will be a lot of teams that have some combination of these players, but it's not the most cookie cutter build that you're going to have here at pick 12. And I don't necessarily know if we're sacrificing a lot of upside by taking Travis Etienne over Najee Harris. I really like Etienne. Like hell, I'd probably rather have Etienne over Jahmyr Gibbs if I'm going to be honest with you. Okay. And Najee Harris goes 39, Keenan Allen 38. I'm just never drafting Keenan here. Magundi says, are 2 quarterbacks, 2 tight ends viable if you go Lamar, Daniel Jones, and Andrews Freiermuth? 100%, yeah. Like if I were to get Lamar and Daniel Jones, most likely I'm not taking a 3rd quarterback. And if I were to go Andrews Freiermuth, most likely I'm not going 3rd tight end. Like it's baseline expectation. If you go with those 2 quarterbacks and those 2 tight ends, that you're only going 2 of each at the position. But McLaurin off the board here at pick 40. Okay. Sam says this is a low-key banger star. I just really like Travis Etienne in round 4. I know we're reaching on Etienne, and generally, like, the market knows what they're doing better than I do, of course. So, I mean, it's hard for me to sit here and say, oh, I know best. I know that Travis Etienne's going to be a strong value and he's worth reaching on. But I don't know. I don't feel like we're reaching on Etienne at all. If anything, even though we're reaching on Etienne compared to ADP, I still somewhat feel like we're getting a value on him. Okay. Hopkins goes pick 45. Okay, Mike Williams goes 47. London, DJ Moore. I wonder if this DJ Moore team here, this is GBD12, they're in this live stream. I wonder if they considered taking Justin Fields to pick 49 to stack with DJ Moore, even though they already have Jalen Hurts. Let's see. I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know what you should do. They go TJ Hawkinson instead to pair with Justin Jefferson. Hell, I mean, in a lot of these drafts, I take TJ Hawkinson at the 501. Edwin, yes, this is a Pomeranian draft, my friend. This is. Okay. Kurt goes, okay, what can we expect here? Deontay 51. I'm never really looking at Deontay Johnson. Very similar to Keenan Allen. He's risen to a point where I almost think he's undraftable, as crazy as that sounds. Like, I would way rather have Kenneth Walker over Deontay Johnson. Hell, I think that team maybe didn't have another quarterback. Yeah, that team didn't have a quarterback, and they decided to go Deontay Johnson over Justin Fields. Here you have Trevor Lawrence going over Justin Fields as well as Justin Herbert, which is really interesting. So both these teams already have QBs. This one with Patrick Mahomes, so you can assume that they pass on the quarterbacks. This one with Joe Burrow, so you can assume that they most likely pass on these quarterbacks as well. There's a tiny chance that we're looking at either Fields or Herbert. Obviously, I don't want to get too excited, but Hayden says, a first Pomeranian 103, Tyreek, JT, Patrick Mahomes. Very, very interesting to get Mahomes there, my friend. Terry McLaurin, Joe Mixon, Mike Evans. I love that team. That is a phenomenal team, my friend. Yeah, I am very jealous of that. That's awesome. And here, this team gets Justin Fields at pick 56. Jealous of that as well. I mean, I think that team's a lot better than ours, and I'd be very excited about that. Okay. Yeah, it looks like Jasmine in the chat as well as Himney both agree that is an absurd team there. Okay, George Kittle goes, Godwin off the board. Herbert sadly goes to the Keenan Allen team. I would have been excited about getting Justin Herbert. Now we're going to go ahead. We're just going to take Dobbins as well as Hollywood. We're not going to think about this too much. I mean, I do want to set ourselves up with the ability to possibly go Kyler Murray later on if we're trying to optimize for weeks 15, 16, 17. I do think that I don't want to say get screwed, but sadly, are just one pick away from getting a very, very exciting option there with Justin Herbert. That would have been very exciting. Now, one thing I want to point out is the team that decided to take Mark Andrews there at pick 33, they decided to pair him up with George Kittle at pick 57 to go with the pseudo bully tight end strategy here. So I think you can assume that maybe tight ends get pushed up this draft board just a bit. We'll see if that has really any impact later on in this draft. Lock it off the board at 65 as well. Harrison says, how much will Kyler play this year? I have no idea, my friend. But what I do know is this is a $3 buy-in with a $200,000 prize pool of $30,000 for first place. So generally when I'm in these drafts, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to chase the highest ceiling possible for weeks 15, 16, 17. Even if that means sacrificing our floor, sacrificing some stability. I think Kyler Murray is a great candidate to do just that with. Okay, so Kyle Pitts goes 71. One reason I don't like this Kyle Pitts selection is, and keep in mind, in general, I love Kyle Pitts at this price, right? But I'm just going through and thinking about this in a vacuum. So that team at 1 already takes TJ Hawkinson, and they have Jalen Hurts. So you can assume if they have Jalen Hurts, they're most likely going to be taking Dallas Goedert there at either pick 72 or 73. And if they're taking Dallas Goedert, they can't take another tight end. You can't take 3 tight ends in the first 7 rounds. So they really are in a position where they cannot take Kyle Pitts. So if I'm that team at 2, what I would prefer doing is taking Mike Evans at pick 71 and essentially guaranteeing yourself that you're going to get Kyle Pitts on the way back around at 74. Now, it ends up working out for them regardless. So, I mean, it doesn't have a massive impact. Just going forward, I would say you do want to be looking at that team that's going to be picking between you and try to map out with their current roster construction, what are they most likely doing at the turn and what can they not do at the turn, if that makes sense. Okay. So let's move this around. David Montgomery off the board, 81. This team only has 2 wide receivers, one being Lamb. They also have Lamar. I wonder if they go with the Baltimore receiver or if they go Brandon Cooks, but instead they go James Conner. This team's the all-rookie team. They have Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, as well as JSN. Okay. Brandon Cooks off the board, 83. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Rachaad White, at least with one of these selections. Watson is a little intriguing, right? I mean, I think that Watson is a great pick if we can essentially guarantee ourselves on the way back around that we would have David Njoku, but in reality, I can't do that. So instead, I would actually probably rather just take, do we want to take Isaiah Pacheco or Javonte Williams? We'll take Isaiah Pacheco. Let's pull the trigger on both of these running backs. Put ourselves in a position where we're only going to have to draft a total of 5 RBs in this draft in particular. Don't want to sit here and act like I'm super, super excited about it, given the injury update that we have with Pacheco. But nonetheless, I mean, I feel like we've been put in a position so far in this draft where it's been difficult to move, right? I mean, I don't know. Ed says, how do I join one of these? So this is the Pomeranian on Underdog. So go to the lobby, and this is the Pomeranian 2, my friend. And if you're new to Underdog, I would 100% recommend the Pomeranian 2 because it's only a $3 buy-in. So say if you deposit $10 on Underdog with promo code FLOCK, you'll have $20 in your account. You can get into 6 of these drafts, and it's also a 0% rake. So generally, the majority of Underdog tournaments are a 10% rake. So in the majority of Underdog tournaments, they take 10% of the league pot. But in this one, they take 0%. So because it's an extremely low buy-in with still a pretty large prize to first place with $30,000, as well as Underdog taking a 0% rake, I 100% recommend if you want to have some fun in getting a draft, this is the tournament to do so with. Okay. Smooth this down. We have Elijah Moore off the board at 90. Tua goes 91. Evan Ingram off the board 92. We'll be a little bit frustrated if we're in a position where David Njoku makes it back around to us at pick 108. Like if Njoku were to make it back to us at 108, I'd say, yeah, our decision to go ahead and take Isaiah Pacheco ahead of Deshaun Watson there at pick 85 most likely was a bad one. Ross Cred says he was hoping Isaiah Pacheco was going to be falling back around to him. Assume at pick 86. Makes me feel a little bit better about my selection. What I'm a little bit worried about taking Isaiah Pacheco here is, in general, I like the cost, but I think this will be someone that continues to fall down draft boards given the injury update that we have. And if he's going to continue to fall down draft boards, it's probably not a good idea to be reaching on him according to ADP, right? With the player that's falling down drafts, you generally only want to take that guy at or behind ADP. Okay, let's move this down. You have Michael Thomas going off the board at 95. Gibson off 87. There's not a lot that we want to sit here and hope for, right? I mean, we have a lot of flexibility with what we can do with this team. Just in general, we are on the lookout to possibly have to take 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends if we don't grab a quarterback or a tight end soon, which that's something I don't love doing. I mean, in general, I want to be taking a total of 5 between quarterback and tight ends combined. Okay. Now let's move this back around. So I don't want to say too much, right? I will say we could only take 1 running back here. We can't go RB on the turn. When we have 4 running backs within the first 8 rounds, you're only at most going to be able to take 5 in one of these drafts. And Njoku goes 104. Is that the... Okay, never mind. I thought that was the team that had Andrews and Kittle. I was going to say, if they took Njoku on a build with Andrews and Kittle just to stack with Watson, that's horrible. But they didn't. Never mind. It was the team that got the Justin Fields value. Okay. I know what we're doing here. Brian Robinson goes. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to take Anthony Richardson as well as Pat Frymuth. We're going to get a quarterback that has some rushing upside. We're going to get a tight end that I'm very happy with as well. I think this will give us the flexibility to later on in this draft potentially only take 2 quarterbacks or 2 tight ends. Now, I don't want to lock ourselves into only taking 2 of either position. I think it's going to come down to when we take our second quarterback or second tight end on if we decide to take, say, 3 of either position. But Richardson, the value falling past ADP. On top of this, this is a player that I don't really mind having unstacked, just given the fact that we're betting on the rushing upside, not necessarily the passing volume. And Frymuth, I think, outscores the wide receivers in this range. I just generally really like this price point up Pat Frymuth. Okay. Now, that's why I feel like this has been a difficult draft in general. But if Final Fantasy decided to go, say, like Anthony Richardson there, pick 107, I was going to pivot over and I was most likely going to go Pat Frymuth, Brian Robinson. But Brian Robinson, Anthony Richardson, Pat Frymuth, I was going to take 2 of those players, essentially whoever fell to us at 108, 109. If we would have had both if we would have had all 3 there, I most likely would have taken Anthony Richardson and had to sit there and really think about if we were going to go Brian Robinson or Frymuth for a second. Jacob, yeah, I'll do another Dynasty startup draft soon, my friend. I will. Okay. Ty says, I think I'm a better NFL running back than Rashad Penny nowadays. It's a little bold, my friend. That's a little bold. Let me see how many drafts I've taken Rashad Penny in. Okay, Zay Jones goes off the board at 116. That's the Trevor Lawrence team. Okay, I saw someone in the chat earlier saying that Team 6 was the clear winner. So right now they're sitting with Kelsey Mahomes, obviously an elite level stack there. They have Metcalf wide receiver, Mixon, Aaron Jones running back. They go Pittman, Tony. I don't like that team at all. To be honest with you, I don't like Team 6. No idea why we're taking Tua there. When we go Mahomes in round 2, we have no Tyreek Hill. We have no Jalen Waddle. So the Tua selection makes no sense in my mind. And obviously we want to be making correlated bets on individual offenses. But to go ahead and within the first 10 rounds, commit 5 roster spots to 1 offense, even if that is the top offense in football, it does seem pretty aggressive, right? Like there is a point of diminishing returns where you have to understand that in week 17, if we are trying to come up with the absolute best starting lineup possible, how many Kansas City Chiefs are really going to be able to hit that lineup? Like we spent our 1st, 2nd, 7th, 9th, and 10th round selections on Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I know people said in the chat that they like Team 6. To be honest with you, I don't like Team 6. And obviously, I'm not trying to be rude about it. And obviously, I'm an idiot. I could be wrong, but that's my assumption. But looking at how much Rashad Penny I have, I'm currently sitting at 8% Rashad Penny. So I'm right in line with the market on Penny. Okay. Let's move this around. Darnell Mooney off the board. See, Dobbs goes 127. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Don't want to say too much. Geno Smith goes to the Tyler Lockett team, about 13 picks past ADP. This is probably my favorite team. I'll show you all that team in just 1 second. Rondale Moore goes. Okay. Goff off the board. I think we're going to take Aaron Rodgers here. Then after the Aaron Rodgers selection, I'm not exactly confident in what we want to be doing. But if we go Rodgers with Garrett Wilson, we can be done at drafting quarterbacks. I like Greg Dulcich in comparison to the other players here. I just don't know if we take him, can we be done at tight end? You know, let's take both of these guys. I think when we take Aaron Rodgers, we are committing to only 2 quarterbacks here with Anthony Richardson as well as Aaron Rodgers. When we take Greg Dulcich as our second guy with Pat Frymuth, I do think we have the ability, if we really wanted to go ahead and take a third tight end, but it wouldn't be able to be until the very end of this draft. But Adam coming out with a donation. Thank you, my friend. Says 10-team PPR Superflex, start 9. 2 trades. All picks are in 2024. Net would give me Pitts, Chig, my first. Receive Tyreek Goddard 2 seconds. We have 2 in Waddle, probably an early first, up or down. Okay, if you're just saying probably an early first, if you're not like super confident, I'm just going to treat it as if it's a random first. Pitts versus Tyreek. Not a tight end premium format. I think you're going to have a lot of disagreement there. If you're super confident that it's an early first, I'm fine with you going ahead and taking that side. I think it really does come down to, are you contending or you're rebuilding? If you're contending, it makes a lot of sense to go Tyreek Hill. I don't think that's a horrible trade one way or another. I think it more comes down to what direction is your team. Okay. But yeah, let me go ahead and show y'all this build here at pick 8. I think this is one of my favorite teams. Personally, I go Lamb over A.J. Brown, but nonetheless, Taylor, Jacobs, round 2 and 3. That's phenomenal. I like the Christian Watson selection there. Once you take 2 running backs through the first 3 rounds, you're kind of pot committed to wide receiver round 4. Justin Fields, pick 56, great value. Lockett, Quentin Johnston catching up on wide receiver. Javonte Williams, strong value. And Njoku, strong value. This is my favorite team. I think team 8 is by far and away the best team in this draft. Going back to what I was saying previously, I wouldn't take Brown. I'd go Lamb, but that's just a personal preference thing. I could clearly be wrong. But from a construction perspective, with a unique build perspective, I think team 8 is phenomenal. I really like team 8. Okay. Let's move this over. Now, Tyler Algier, Gerald Everett, Matthew Stafford all off the board. Like I said, I don't necessarily think we're pot committed to only taking 3 tight ends. But in general, to only taking 2 tight ends. In general, we're looking wide receiver here. We're not going out of our way to target quarterbacks or tight ends at pick 156 or 157. Okay, MVS, Irv Smith Jr. off the board. I don't want to say too much until we're on the clock. This is the team that we really like. Let's see what they do. I think they're done at quarterback with Fields, Geno. Yeah, you assume, I was going to say, Komet made so much sense from a value perspective, as well as they have Justin Fields. Derek Carr goes 153. So Kyler would pair up with Hollywood Brown for us. Not saying that we need to go in that direction, but it is something to point out. Alec Pierce is 100% a selection here. We needed a wide receiver. He also pairs nicely with Anthony Richardson. If we were to go Kyler Murray, we are done drafting quarterbacks, tight ends. Yeah, I don't think we're sacrificing too much in terms of the value that we were looking at with other positions to go with the 3rd quarterback in Kyler here. So let's go Kyler. He pairs with Hollywood, but now we cannot take another quarterback or another tight end. We're definitely only taking a 5-pick combo to both positions. So now with this team, wide receiver, we have Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams, Deebo Samuel, Hollywood Brown, Alec Pierce. Running back, we have Travis Etienne, J.K. Dobbins, Rashad White, Isaiah Pacheco. Tight end, we have Pat Freiermuth, Greg Dulcich. Quarterback, we have Richardson stacked with Alec Pierce. We have Garrett Wilson stacked with Aaron Rodgers. And we have Hollywood Brown stacked with Kyler Murray. So, interesting. Mr. Black Barter says, are these the $25 drafts? No, they are not. This is the $3 Pomeranian draft, my friend. This is what I highly recommend any new people on Underdog getting into. Is the $3 Pomeranian, 0% rate, $200,000 prize pool, $30,000 for first, $15,000 for second, $10,000 for third. And of course, if y'all want us to get in another draft after this one, if you want to get in that draft with us, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we had 350 likes in the stream, we are going to be firing up another draft. And if you want to get in our next draft, whether that's today, tomorrow, the day after, you know I'm doing this literally every single day until 2024. And find a link to Underdog Fantasy in the comment section, in the description, in the live chat. If you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. You're also going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com, and Underdog is available in damn near every state. You can see all the states there, but it's also the number one way you can support this channel. Let's see. Now we have a bunch of running backs going. You only have 2 wide receivers off the board here in round 14. Isaiah Hodgins off the board as well, pick 169. Okay. Let's move this over. Like I said, we cannot go quarterback or tight end anymore. Obviously, for me to say this out loud on the live stream puts us at a little bit of a disadvantage because everybody else knows what we're doing. But nonetheless, I am just trying to give you all my thought process and trying to help out the best I can. Now, Ty Chandler off the board at 172. Really interesting to see that selection. Was there any news today that I don't know of? Tyquan Thornton, Jaden Reed. Fallony, happy to see you, my man. Happy to see you. Juwan Johnson goes 175. Great for us. Can we expect any quarterbacks or tight ends to go? Probably not too many. Tim Patrick was going to be someone that I wanted to bet on. We had Greg Dulcich, so that could have worked out in a couple different ways. Jeff Wilson goes. Final Fantasy on the clock. They go Campbell. Do we take Chuba Hubbard as one of these backs? Probably, right? Yeah, we're going to go Chuba Hubbard. We're going to go 4 wide receivers to end this draft. We'll start it off just with our first guy, John Mechie. I mean, in general, there aren't too many tiebreakers that we can use with the wide receivers in this range. The guy that I've drafted more than anybody else here has been Wan'Dale Robinson. But it's not like we can just draft Wan'Dale Robinson in 100% of these drafts. We'd have to mix it up a bit. Weird spot. Weird spot. I don't exactly know what we should do there. Okay. Dawson Knox goes 182. Gesicki goes 183. Hunter Renfrow off the board as well. Nabella says, I find myself taking Jamal Williams way too much. Let me see how much Jamal Williams I have. I feel like I don't have a lot of Jamal. So if I'm looking at Saints, let's just search Saints. Here are my most drafted New Orleans Saints. I have Alvin Kamara in 16.7% of these drafts. I have Chris Olave in 12.2%. I have Kondre Miller in 9.1%. I have Juwan Johnson in 8.4%. I have Rashid Shaheed at 7.2%. Derek Carr at 7.2%. Michael Thomas at 6.8%. Jamal Williams at 5.7%. And Taysom Hill at 4.9%. Okay. Now, Bryce Young goes good for us. We have a couple tight ends getting drafted as well. Devontae Parker off 188. Okay. Kenny Pickett falling a considerable amount. I wonder if we should have passed on Kyler. Let's go back and look at that. Because maybe it would have made sense to pass on Kyler Murray, instead take Kenny Pickett to pair with Pat Freiermuth at a much cheaper price tag. So really it's just going to be the opportunity cost on whatever wide receivers we grab, right? So instead of taking Kyler Murray, the wide receiver we would have selected would have been Shaheed. Or maybe we can look at it as a running back instead. Would we have rather had Kyler Murray and Chuba Hubbard or Kenny Pickett and Devin Singletary? Probably Kyler Murray. Yeah, probably Kyler. I don't think that's the worst decision we made in this draft. Okay. Let's move this back around. We're going to be looking only at wide receivers here. I know one of our selections, Jalen Hyatt, goes. Misery says Michael Thomas will finish as the top 10 wide receiver this season. I would be surprised to see that, my friend. I would be surprised to see Michael Thomas as the top 10 wide receiver. Okay. I know one of the wide receivers that we are selecting. I don't exactly know the other guy. Okay, Claypool goes. Clyde Edwards-Helaire off the board at pick 200. Okay. Robert Woods off the board. I was actually looking at Wan'Dale. I was looking at Wan'Dale Robinson possibly as their second option. But in general, like in round 18, round 17, I'm always trying to grab at least one unique guy that's not being drafted in every single one of these. That guy's going to be Josh Downs for me, especially when we have Anthony Richardson. I think if we also want to try to go with the unique player where I don't love Terrace Marshall, don't love Richie James, I don't really love any of these guys at the top. Maybe we go down and try to grab Corey Davis, pair him up with Aaron Rodgers just as a little bit of a unique selection. In reality, I think we probably should have put ourselves in a position where we could have taken Tyler Conklin instead. But I think we did make the decision to only take two of those tight ends whenever we decided to grab our third quarterback in Kyler Murray. It's very difficult to get away with drafting both three quarterbacks as well as three tight ends, specifically in underdog tournaments. If it was like a private draft, would have been a little bit of a different call, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Now, of course, real quick, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on this live stream. If we had 350 likes on this stream, we're going to be firing up another draft after this one. And if not, all good, ladies and gentlemen. You know I will be drafting every single day. I'm not going to miss a single day of live streaming until 2024. We've live streamed every single day since April. So just make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And if you want to get into our next draft, it is on Underdog Fantasy. That's where we're drafting every single day. It's best ball, so no time commitment at all during the year. In my mind, it's the best place to get in some extra fantasy football leagues outside of the main one that you care about. And of course, if you sign up with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to $100. Plus, you're going to get our 2023 fantasy football rankings, a free trial to flockfantasy.com. And most importantly, you can have some fun, support the channel, and hang out with us in these live streams. But we have Baker going off the board there. Super interesting that team waits till round 16 to grab their first quarterback and goes Sam Howell, Desmond Ridder, Baker Mayfield in those 3 rounds. But it looks like that should be it. Looks like it's going to be a short live stream. It's the first stream we've had in weeks where we've only done one draft on it. But nonetheless, thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really do appreciate y'all. And really hope that I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow night.